devastating news this morning, and joining us on the phone now to react to the news is our reporter Jim McGrath. Jim, devastating, and news that will be reverberating around the racing industry this morning.
Yeah, very, very disappointing news, and obviously our thoughts all with those at Ballydoyle and Coolmore, because he's been an outstanding representative for them, and also a very, very valuable horse, being a son of Monsieur, who sadly passed away last year. And here we have one of his the best performed son, having suffered this severe injury this morning. I understand he left Ballydoyle in a horse box, and John Halley, who's one of the world's most outstanding vets, he's in charge of operations now, and let's just hope that they can save him for a stud career, because he is a very valuable horse. But what a horse he's been for Ballydoyle, you know, to globe trot the way he did, Gina. It's quite exceptional to see a horse who's as tough and as resilient and as adaptable as he was.
Certainly, and we're just looking at him, Jim, in Dubai in particular here. Was there one performance for you that particularly stood out of his long career?
Well, for me, it was that night. It was when it all came together in the Dubai Shima Classic. Joseph O'Brien he absolutely excelled. He had his own mind about what his tactics were going to be. He wanted to lie handy. He'd learned the previous year that, you know, that's what he wanted to do on that track, and he rode him beautifully. And they were a perfect combination that night, both horse and rider. They were absolutely outstanding, and we were able to see just St Nicholas Abbey at his absolute peak. But looking at this morning's Racing Post and seeing a very good piece by Julian Muscat, he goes through his career, and also he tables his greatest wins and also his prize money. You see, he tops the list of 10 money earners over the last few years, having he was just short of £5 million in prize money that he earned, which is absolutely unbelievable. As Julian points out in his piece, it would have been so easy for this horse to have been packed off to stud much earlier in his career and not met the challenges that he did. It would have been an easy way out in some respects, but Aidan O'Brien took him back to the racetrack and resurrected his career after it looked like stuttering during his 3-year-old year.
Jim, as you've mentioned, he's such a star performer that he owes nothing to the team at Coolmore or Ballydoyle. But with that in mind, and with the stud career in mind, for those that don't understand the breeding industry or the implications, just try and explain how valuable he is to them with that secondary career in mind.
Well, the biggest thing about him, as far as I can see, is that he's a son of Monsieur, and Monsieur was an absolutely brilliant racehorse, as we know, and he's been responsible for some very good horses. But when he died last year, it was a huge loss for Coolmore, and in terms of not just prestige, and also in losing a stallion with that capacity to produce a horse of Group 1 level. But also, it was it's almost as if you're going to lose the line, if you know what I mean. They've got Paul Moir, who of course shuttles to New Zealand, and he, I understand, has produced some pretty good foals. And but St Nicholas Abbey, by Monsieur as well, he's the sort of horse that you would be looking at and saying, well, he's proven himself to be so hardy, so tough. He had 21 starts. He won 9 of them. He was second in 2 of them, and 7 times third. So he was placed. He filled the placings 18 times out of 21 starts. That, in its own sense, it just shows you just how tough he was, how durable he was, and the type of horse that you would be looking to breed from.
Jim, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning, and we continue to keep our fingers crossed for St Nick.
Yes, indeed.
Now joining us on the line from the Irish Racing Post is David Jennings. David, we've just been reiterating with Jim the importance of St Nicholas Abbey with regard to his breeding career, but just reflect for us, if you will, how important he's been for them as a star racehorse.
Oh, Jeannie's been a fantastic racehorse, and I suppose it's his longevity really that's been so amazing. You know, when we seen him as a 2-year-old, he looked something really, really special, and you know, he's come back after his 3-year-old career and really to keep going for so long. It's been a fantastic achievement by Ballydoyle and possibly one of their best achievements, I'd say.
And we've seen some of the shots now of him in Dubai at the Breeders' Cup. Many of his biggest victories have come abroad on his globe-trotting travels. But for you and the Irish public, how special was it to see him on the track at home?
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely. As you say, probably one of his biggest assets was his globe-trotting achievements. And really his performance at Maidan this year was fantastic, really. And you know, he's the type of horse, you know, that he seemed to be very, very straightforward. And, you know, Joseph, especially towards the latter stage of the career, tended to get on really, really well with him. And I thought even this year he looked even more straightforward than he had been previously. They were starting to ride him a little bit more handier. And, you know, it's just an awful pity that he's not going to get a chance to show what he was worth in the King George, because that would have been a really fascinating race.
And David, we just learned of the news in the last hour or so. How did it break in Ireland? Did you find anything else out in the last hour or so?
I don't think so, Gina. No, I think it was just like the rest of us, really. I think it was just on Twitter and stuff that it was broke. And, you know, a big shock to the system. I was just flicking through, as you do every morning, just looking to see what's happening. And then you see St Nicholas Abbey out and career-threatening injury. And, you know, really disappointing way to wake up of a morning. And, you know, just an awful pity, because I think everybody was looking forward to the race on Saturday. You know, He's a horse that, you know, through age has got even better and better, and a clash with Cyrus's Eaglet Trading Leather, you know, was really an appetising jewel, and one that it's disappointing that we won't get to see.
It certainly is. And David, just quickly to sum up, what was the race for you that really stood out, that to you was St Nicholas Abbey at his best? There's
a couple. I suppose in his 2-year-old career in the Racing Post Trophy, I just love that promising performance. I love when a horse produces it in his 2-year-old career. And it gives you so much to look forward to for the rest of the career. And that day when he beat Elusive Pimpernel, I just thought it had wow written all over it. He really stretched out in the final furlong, and that looked a really, really top-class renewal of the Racing Post Trophy, and he really brushed them aside. And I suppose in his 3-year-old career, given his record at Epsom and given how good he is at Epsom, it's an awful pity that he didn't get to run in the Derby the following year, because I think Ballydoyle probably see that race as one that got away, because he's been exceptional at Epsom. He's better at Epsom than anywhere else. A 1.5 mile quick ground would have been perfect. So that's probably one of the disappointments, that he didn't get to show just how good he was in his 3-year-old career in the Derby.
It's amazing how he was nurtured back after that. David, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning.
Thanks, Gina.